You're listening to Sarah Hagan Backstage, with interviews and insights from years inside the music industry. Join Sarah as she talks with masters of their crafts, finding out what makes them tick both inside and outside of the music business.
Welcome to Sarah Hagan Backstage. My guest today, Josh Harmon, has gone viral on social media over and over again for his incredible percussion performance art videos, where he makes sound effects for movie and video clips, and for his Rhythm of Comedy series, where he points out the rhythm inherent in great comedy acts. Today, we are going to talk about how this all came about. We will go deep into Josh's thought process, in his creativity, and we will talk about how viral success has affected his life. So come along with me as I catch up with Josh Harmon. Josh, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me, Sarah.
Absolutely. It's so nice to have you here and see you. And, we actually met each other like during the pandemic, met over Zoom. So it's funny. We've never met in person, but it's just like so nice to see you over Zoom. And
it feels like we're longtime friends, you know.
It does, which is, it's so crazy how the world works now, the way that people keep in touch electronically and see each other's faces and everything. But it feels like we go back a long way.
This is only the second time I've ever really spoken to you, so.
Oh my gosh, I know.
This is my preferred way of getting to know someone is just doing a podcast. So,
Right, there we go. You get to know all the things, right?
Yeah, but if I'm gonna talk, it might as well be recorded. I need the content. We got to get the content.
It's all about the content. It's all about the
content,
which is something we're going to talk at length about today, because you are creating some amazing, interesting, unique content, and I love it. And I found you, of course, through I think it was the Ratatouille video that I actually saw, the first video. And I was like, what is going on? This is so crazy. And then just kind of like digging back into some of the things that you had done before. And just watching it progress for you it's been really fun, because what you're doing it's fun stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's all fun. It's all like very silly, joyful. These are like the kind of like the words I use to, keep the tonality of it, like, consistent. It's like, keep it fun, keep it light, joyous, curious. These are like all my little buzzwords that I float around in my head.
Those are great words. So great. And that's the reason to do anything, right? Because it makes you happy. It brings joy. It brings other people joy. And one of the things, and we're kind of going to like delve into some of the videos and everything, but one of the things that you do consistently that I love is at the end of your video, at the end of your clip, you're smiling, you're laughing.
Yeah.
And that makes me so happy. I can't even tell you. Like, it's just so much fun. And to see like how much fun you're having with it that's what it's all about. Yeah,
definitely. It's all a lot of it, it's all intentional. Like every piece of the videos, every piece of how I'm running the pages is like, I've thought about every piece of it. It's all on purpose. Like, this is one of my big things. A lot of content creators, they will, feel like they have to make a video every single day, or like 2 videos a day. And it's like constantly churning out. I really try to only make a video when I'm like in the mood and have a good concept for one. And that way, by the end, I feel great. I just, and also in these videos, I'm doing like a ton of takes. Like I don't just, it seems easy, but there's a lot of work that goes into prepping these things. And so when I finally get that good take and I know, oh, that was the one, it makes me very happy.
Yes.
Very satisfying.
I like that. So it's basically like, you're like, yeah, I nailed it, right? And then you just smile or you laugh or whatever.
And of course, part of it is, there's a little shtick there too, which we can get into. I can talk about that concept as well.
Yeah. So you know what? We'll talk about how this all came about, but let's definitely like delve into the actual videos. And for anyone who's listening or watching and has not seen Josh's videos, What he's doing is recreating movie sounds with really cool percussive instruments and other things that you find or you think up. And like the sound effects in a scene from a movie or a show. You did like a Simpsons clip I saw. And actually the thing you were doing, is this right? This was before the movie clips, you were doing the rhythms of comedy?
Yeah.
And is that okay? So I wasn't sure if that's kind of how you started, but doing sound effects to comedy routines, which so funny. Like it's just hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe talk a little bit about that. That would be great.
So I guess I should preface it by saying, like, I'm not a social media creature. It does not come naturally to me at all. I actually never had a personal Instagram before I started this page. Was really not into Snapchat. I'm just not a social media person. It's just not who I am, which is, of course, now very ironic. But it was just during the pandemic, everyone was, taking to social media. So I was like, okay. I'd moved back home and suddenly had access to my drum set again. I've been playing the drums since I was 4 years old, and just thought okay, I should just, maybe film myself playing some drums and upload it to Instagram, and just as a way to entertain, me and my 5 friends that I had. Before the pandemic, I was living in the city, working at NBC, really trying to get into comedy. I was in the NBC Page program, which was very exciting. And I was, doing improv comedy at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater. I was doing stand-up, trying to perform, and just really, I was writing comedy. I was really trying to be a comedian. And the idea for Rhythms of Comedy came when I heard Jerry Seinfeld do an interview, and he said that sometimes he'll spend up to an hour trying to whittle just one syllable off of a joke. And he's like, it's all about the rhythm. The rhythm's the most important thing. You mess up the rhythm, the whole joke is dead, even if the material is good.
Right.
And that got me thinking, oh, I should try to dig into the mechanics of this. It's these are my 2 interests. I love rhythm, and I was really trying to get into comedy. And so I just wanted to combine them. And of course, people had done that kind of thing before. People like Dan Weiss, he played in 2010, he played to that clip with the auctioneer, which was amazing.
Yes.
And people like David Dockery, one of those early drum YouTube legends, had done this sort of thing, but no one had ever done it in an analytical way, using the drums as a tool to kind of figure out the mechanics of something and to really kind of understand speech patterns and what makes something funny. Why is this landing? Why is what makes this person, what makes Seinfeld, what makes Bill Burr, why are they so good?
Right.
And it's the delivery. And so was sort of the mission of the Rhythms of Comedy project, just really just for myself, because I was not a great stand-up comedian. I was just genuinely curious about how to become a better comedian. And I was using the drum, something I know how to do, as a way to investigate it. I sort of have an academic bent. I was a very good student, really into my grades in school. And so research and
yeah,
things like that are something that's I gravitate towards that kind of study, I guess you could call it. So it was just a study, and turns out other people were interested in it too. I guess because I was very enthusiastic about it, and that was contagious.
Yeah, well, that's a really good point to make. I think it does it has a lot to do with your enthusiasm for sure. But it is really interesting. So you were on a quest to be a better comedian and understand rhythm and timing.
Right.
And you were breaking down those pieces of their comedy routines into rhythms to better understand how to make your act more rhythmic or flow better, like that.
Exactly.
Kind of.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It was not at all I wonder if I can do this to go viral. I wonder if I can do this it wasn't even that I wanted to be a better drummer. I really was just interested in comedy, and I just happened to have this ability where I can play the drums. And so that was just my entry point.
That is fantastic. So at this point you're in you're at NBC, you said, right? In the comedy Page program. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's the Page program. It's this very prestigious thing where you cycle through different positions at NBC. I got to work at Saturday Night Live. It was very exciting. Oh my God. And then of course, that was my last day of the program, was March of 2020. everything shut down, and it all kind of just like came tumbling down. But then after that, I started writing for the Today Show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was actually doing that up until November of 2021. So the whole time that I was really doing like the rhythms of comedy, like most of the sound effects stuff, I was also working a full-time job in TV, which is interesting. And this was just my side hustle. Not even a side hustle. I wouldn't even call it a hustle because I wasn't hustling with it. I was just doing it to have a good time.
Yeah.
I just genuinely enjoyed doing it. And then, you know, opportunities just kind of started presenting themselves naturally. And I decided I'm in my 20s. Let's just like take a risk. And so I've gone full time into just doing content, left my fancy, nice job, and I'm a professional drummer now, I guess you could call me.
Yes, you are. Absolutely. So I have a question. Did the rhythms of comedy, did that improve your comedy routine?
Well, it's funny. I actually haven't performed very much comedy ever since I started doing it because I started just making the drum videos. It definitely, I bet it would, though. Yeah. What I've noticed, though, is that it's very much improved my ear. And when I'm listening to stand-up specials or anything like that, I can really hear. It's sort of like, you know, I can see the Matrix now. I've done so many of these. I can like hear it right away. It's almost become intuitive. Like, you know how you practice with the metronome enough, like you just know where the triplet subdivision is. You just know intuitively. Oh, the 16th note. You don't have to guess. Like you do enough. You're not guessing anymore.
Absolutely.
It's kind of become like that, which is annoying sometimes because I'll be talking to someone and I'll be like, oh, those are perfect 16th notes in my head.
I love that so much. That's incredible. That's like it's similar to, like, I always say, being a drummer and listening to music or having music on in the background and doing anything. You could be
right. Yeah, no, it doesn't happen.
Walking, it's always in rhythm with the music, always, no matter what, you know. And you know,
I really can't listen to music while I drive, which is annoying because I get distracted. It's not good.
A fast song comes on and all of a sudden you're just like speeding around.
Oh yeah.
That's too funny. Okay, so and all the rhythms of comedy too, I thought it was so interesting because like people picked up on it, like the comedians picked up on it and were talking about it and everything, and I thought that was so cool because they really appreciated it too. Because you can tell the comedians that you mentioned and that you've played too, they have honed that craft as well. You know, they've studied it and like it's in them. So like to have that recognized by a drummer as a real thing, like their rhythm of their routine, like how cool is that?
Yeah. A lot of times, the cool thing about social media that I was realizing was that all these famous people, these comedians who I really looked up to, they have social media too, just like they're also looking at the feed. And so a lot of times I would do these videos and they would see it. Sometimes within like 10 minutes of me uploading it, I would get a DM or a comment from, Hannibal Buress, Ken Jeong, like these crazy people, ready to be like, this is amazing. Thank you. And a lot of times they would say, this is something that I've thought about, but never quite like this. And they would like be, they would just be very enthused by the fact that someone had noticed sort of this underlying mechanic. I think that any public speaker or any any grand rhetor, you gotta, it's all rhythm. Like it's the most important thing if you're delivering any sort of message.
That's so true.
The coolest one though was I did a video for Hannah Gatsby, terrific performer and extremely rhythmic and percussive in her delivery. I got a message from her manager, her producer, this woman named Jenny Shamash, who we went to the same college. We later found out, Amherst College, Massachusetts. Yeah, and we both had the same like weird major too. She reached out, we connected all this stuff, and she said, Hannah saw your video and she loves it. You won't believe this, but the way that you were drumming to that bit, when she was practicing and writing that bit, she would sort of tap on her legs to figure out like the rhythm of how she wanted to say it, and she would tap along basically the same exact way that you picked up on it in your beat.
Wow. That is super cool.
That was very cool. Yeah.
I mean,
in the comedy world, there are some comedians who do like very much like, okay, these are the rhythms. I'm slowing down here. I'm speeding up here. Accent here. You know, that those types of things make a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you could have two people deliver the same exact lines and have a complete different reaction from the crowd depending on how it's delivered, right?
Yeah,
like,
I could go on stage with like, you know, Seinfeld's book of jokes and no one would laugh.
I don't know if anyone could do Seinfeld.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but that's
that's it. That's all I got.
Well, there you go. There you go. I cannot forget to ask you though, what is the weird major that you had in college that you just mentioned?
Majored in French literature.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Old French books. They called my name, and I couldn't resist the siren call.
That is so interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I went to Amherst College, which is a very small liberal arts college up in Massachusetts. You know,
not too far from me. Yep.
Yeah. So the whole idea there is like everything should be interdisciplinary. You know, you take concepts from different studies and you bring them together, and that's how you come up with the original ideas. It's kind of the underlying thought behind the education that you get at Amherst. And I just always had a knack for like French. I took it in high school. I really enjoyed it, and I really liked the professors. And I don't know, I just kind of landed on it because I just really enjoyed reading those books, and I love the department.
That's so cool.
I take that interdisciplinary attitude with me now right into what I'm doing, you know, like combining different disciplines, comedy and drums, or like, you know, movie sound effects and drums, or I guess it's mainly those two.
Yeah, right. That's so great though.
Yeah. Yeah. Weird
and
major.
It kind of makes sense, right? Like the French literature thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, it makes sense with the Ratatouille video because right? Like
the best food in the world is made in Paris. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Paris is one of my favorite places in the whole world. And I do remember seeing like the building from that movie Ratatouille. I saw that in Paris and I was like, oh my gosh, there it is.
Yeah, it's incredible over there. When I was a senior in college, I did tie my two loves together. I made this documentary about drummers in the French military, which was like one of the coolest projects I've ever done. And basically the documentary is about how, you know, in Europe, we're talking about military snare drumming. So every country has their own little style of doing it, little idiosyncrasies of how, you know, snare drummers play. But in France, it's really weird. Like the rhythms are incredibly complex. They're like groupings of 5 and all this wacky stuff. There's just like so many ornamentations, incredibly difficult, complicated snare drum music, like crazier than I've had ever seen anyplace else. And like a really just weird sort of stick technique. Everything is kind of a little bit kooky. And I just was like kind of reading about this online. There wasn't much information, but I'd come across like these like some sheet music, and I was looking at it. I was like, this just looks very odd. And I just got interested in it, and then made contact with this guy named Yvan Roussel, who is like one of the last living grandmasters of the French tambour. He's in his 70s, and he's like deaf in one ear, and he blind in one eye, and he has a limp, and he can't march, and his hand is also paralyzed, so he can't play, he can't really hear, but he still like has a drum school in Brittany in France, and like refuses to let this like weird art form die, and he's still teaching drums. And so the documentary was about me going to France to take a drum lesson with this man. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so is this documentary like viewable somewhere?
You can watch the trailer on my YouTube channel for it. The full thing is, it's interesting because I was very inspired by Antonio Sanchez, and I was a senior in college. And I was like, I can do that. So the movie itself is like, you have to view it like with me performing live along with it. That's kind of how I cut it. So I would drum along to the movie, and there are long stretches where there's just like nothing happening on screen and I'm playing. So it's kind of an interactive thing. But I have been in talks with the French Cultural Embassy in New York to do a big screening there of the film. So if that happens, you know, stay tuned to the socials. I'll let everybody know if that's going down.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. I
Yeah.
want to be there. I'm gonna have to get myself to New York. It's not too
It's a
far.
pretty, it's an interesting little pocket of the world. These people
Yeah.
they just care so intensely about this art form. It's really inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, when someone just cares so much about something, it's
Mm-hmm.
really like, I don't know, it just makes you do a double take, and it makes you think about, okay, well, what do I really care about? What is
Mm-hmm.
really important?
Mm-hmm.
Why are things important? It just brings up all those questions, because these people, I mean, their whole lives snare drum. It's
That's
just the
amazing.
one thing. Yeah.
In a different way too. Like
Yeah.
that's incredible. I feel so lucky, especially with this podcast, because I spent the majority of my career like talking to people, right? And delving into what they love and what makes them tick, and just in everyday conversation. Um but like it's inspiring to me, like you just said, to talk to someone who's so into something
Right.
that like they dedicate their life to it. And a lot of the people I talked about, it's it's drumming or music, but also creativity. I work with a lot of vendors who are super into what they do, or other people at other companies. It's just like, it's so amazing when you find someone who is in love with what they do, or what it is that makes them unique, right? And they just like are an expert at it.
Yeah, and I kind of bring that into my content, because I think it makes you feel good when you see someone else just feeling good and enjoying what they're doing. And so I try to always, have a good time on camera, have a good time when I'm making the videos, and that energy transfers to the audience. And so I do think about that very consciously whenever I'm doing a video.
It's so great. It's so great. And I definitely want to talk about the movie and TV like sound effect videos, because I love the fact that every video there's something in it, like you're using things that are not typically percussion instruments, or thought of as a percussion instrument.
Right.
You have like gathered, that you found.
Yeah, I've become a hoarder. You should see my basement. It's just, I got a package the other day and I saved the plastic that it came in. I was like, this is a good sound. I live with my family, and they just roll their eyes. They're like, oh my God, here we go. You should really see the room. I mean, the room where I have my drums, it used to be just filled with drum stuff, and now it's filled with garbage.
the good kind of garbage, the noise making garbage. Yeah. I love it, and I've said it a couple times on this podcast in different contexts, but like, I love the noises that things make. Like it's obviously, like being a drummer, I just like gravitate toward that, and being a music fan. But like the things, like the little things, even like just the AirPod case, like open and closing, like that noise, it's just so good. Like it's something so satisfying about that. And so when I see you have like you have bubble wrap that you're squishing, or you have like a hacky sack, and a little cylinder that you like hit on your hand to make a little like suction noise. It's just
that's a guitar slide, that thing that I used.
Okay, all right. I wasn't sure what that was. So good. It's so good. So were you like, so you got a package in the mail, took the plastic out, you're like, that's a great noise, I have to keep it. Like, is that what you're doing
it's brutal. You don't want this lifestyle. That's not good. Every time I'm like, okay, I'll keep that one.
Set that aside with that exact amount of liquid in it, right?
Yeah. I get the through line that I can draw from the rhythms of comedy into the sound effects stuff, which will maybe tie some of like this concept together. Is just that, well, the idea, I was making the rhythms of comedy, and it was going well, but one day I had a thought like, oh man, all the videos are in English. All the videos had a lot of words in them. I wonder if I could reach a wider audience if I removed language.
So smart.
And this is, taking some inspiration from like Blue Man Group. You could, if you're in China, if you're in Mexico, it doesn't matter. You can go and see Blue Man Group, and you'll laugh, you have a great time, and enjoy this show. And I love Blue Man Group. I've seen it a bunch of times. And I had read that like they like very consciously, like they write jokes and they do the routines, like they don't have any language, so that it's universal. And I wanted to kind of do the same thing, experiment with that. So I thought, okay, well, how can I do like rhythms of comedy without any words? Like comedy is kind of sort of a language-based situation most of the time, at least in the way that I was thinking about it. But then I started thinking, well, okay, I really like impressions. I've always thought that impressions were kind of magical when someone does like a really good impression and their appearance stays the same, but just the voice is like coming out of nowhere. And it's like magic. And I was, okay, so that what would that be? That would be like, okay, maybe I could do impressions with the drum set. Maybe I could have like the drumstick kind of do an impression of something else. And what would that be? That would be kind of, maybe that would be like the same kind of magic if this one object was sort of impersonating something else. And then that's how I came up with the idea.
Wow.
And so it's very exciting, even for me, when you find an object, you know, and like it looks like one thing, but it sounds like another thing. And it is magical in that same way. It's like, it's very exciting every time for me. It sounds, you know, like corny or nerdy, but that's okay.
No,
it's just,
great.
like, it's very, there's something about it that's just like, oh, wow. You know, it's just, and that's why like the curiosity thing is important. Just like, this is this, but I don't want to make too many assumptions because it could also be this. You know?
Yes. Yeah. I love talking to people who have that curiosity, whatever it's about. Again, I mean, it comes down to like the passion for something, the interest in something, the love for, you know, something. And then you discover the curiosity, which, you know, curiosity is it's the core of the creativity, right? Like you have to be really interested in what if. Yeah, ask the question, what if, and then explore it. And I just love that. You know, you see it in kids so much, and then people grow up and they kind of like stop being curious about things. And I just, that's a goal in my life, is to just always be a curious person, always be asking the question, what if?
I feel like these videos have sort of saved me in that regard, because after I graduated from college, and I went to this like very intense college, and I like went very intense high school, and I got the Jewish family and the whole situation. So you know, I was going down this path of like, you know, I had that job. It was like, you know, I was in an office, I was wearing a dress shirt every day, and like just working all the time. And the videos give me the opportunity to, you know, everyone likes to say this word, childlike, you know, it's just a way to sort of continue to play. It's very important to me. And to just keep that attitude that like there is a lot of value in just playing. Another thing which really inspires me in this regard is just like, you take a snare drum, how many sounds can you get out of just that? This is a drumming podcast, so we talk about drums.
Yes,
like that's always been something that's incredibly fascinating to me. I was just in New Orleans. In New Orleans, every bar, every restaurant, there's a live band. I mean, I've never been there before. This blew my mind. I mean, there's just music everywhere.
It's amazing.
And what's really crazy is that all the bands are good. Like, and they
like killer.
The drummers down there just have a different way of playing the snare drum. It's just like, it's a whole other universe where they could play a whole gig just with the snare drum.
Yeah,
you know, they can get every sound they need just out of the snare drum. And that people like Shannon Powell, who I saw down there play. I mean, that guy, the touch and the feel and like the dynamics, and he can say more with a buzz roll than a lot of people can with the whole kit.
Absolutely. Stanton Moore is another one who, New Orleans, and just like you hear his music and you know that it's him. You know, it's
totally, 100%. And so another example of that, which is a little bit more zany, when I was in high school, I saw, like, I was really into watching those Guitar Center drum off videos, which are like, it's a whole other vibe. You know, those drum off things with the octopad, they got the whole thing. But I remember when I was in high school, I saw one of the winners, this guy, Juan Carlito Mendoza.
Yep.
And in his solo, you know, like near 3/4 of the way through, he takes a snare drum out of the stand, flips it over, and plays on the snare wires upside down. And this blew my little high school mind. Completely out of my head, because it just was like, oh my God, the drum set, you can do whatever you want to it.
For sure.
You could take a snare drum out of stand, you could play it upside down, you could take your tom and like turn it sideways. You could just like, it really expanded my mind in that one little moment. Um, and it just that really got me thinking like, okay, this is sort of like a game. There's so many sounds you can just get out of one drum. And in my videos, a lot of times I try to, like in that Simpsons ones, for instance, like I wonder if I can just do this whole scene just on a snare drum. And that was kind of a challenge I laid out for myself. And that is always a very fun thing. I think that all the drummers that I really admire, or that anyone really admires, like the top drummers, have all gone super deep into one thing. It's like that same like insatiable curiosity type thing. You take someone like Mark Juliana. He's just gone so deep into like subdivision, knowing where the pulse is, and like, you know, his whole thing, like dynamics, orchestration, rate, phrasing. Like he's just gone so deep into that method.
Yes.
Or someone like I don't know. I use that as an example.
No, that's a perfect example. So perfect. And it actually,
like, yeah, so deep. Or like I'm trying to think of another example to tie together. But anyway, like the thing that or like Jojo Mayer went super deep into like recreating electronic sounds acoustically on the drum set.
Yes.
Like, just like so incredibly deep that you didn't even know that it went down that far.
Yeah.
Just kept going, kept exploring. And I guess my thing that I wanted to go like very deep in, because I'd never seen anyone do this before, was like tone, texture. Like it's like timbre. I'd never really seen another drummer do like such an incredibly deep like focus on just like sound and different sound qualities, and that's it, as opposed to, you know, I guess I'd be working more as a drummer if I had focused on, you know, like time or groove. Like I just got like so obsessed and very curious about like how many sounds can I get out of this instrument.
Yes.
And I was like, kept going deeper.
Yeah, but you found your place though. Like that's your thing, and it's so great. And the videos that are, you know, that you've put out are just, they're so fantastic. If anyone hasn't seen them, you have to check these out. And the last time we talked, you were telling me that some of I think it was like the Spider-Man video that you did, right? That was actually commissioned.
That one wasn't commissioned, but there are a bunch that have been commissioned. Yeah.
Okay. So that was going to be my next question about like, how do you decide what clips to do? Like, are you watching a movie and you're just like, oh, that's perfect, that would be a perfect clip, or you already have it in your head, like you've thought in the past about it?
Well, it's interesting. Sometimes now, you know, this has become my business. So some of them are sponsored. I mean, it lines up perfectly for that, because if you have a movie to promote, or if you have a game or something that you want to promote, it just plugs right into the format.
Right.
Which is, you know, it's quite valuable.
Yes.
But just in terms of like an organic one, this is kind of cool. I have an intern now who helps me source clips and gives me ideas and writes up like trend reports for me.
So great.
Yeah, she's awesome. Talia, shout out. She's a student at Northwestern. Absolutely fantastic. Can't believe I have an intern. That's a cool thing.
Yes.
But yeah, a lot of times it's just, what I've found is actually, as I've made more and more of these, it hasn't gotten more difficult. It's gotten easier. I thought that it would, oh, okay, I'm going to run out of ideas. I'm going to run out of sounds. I'm going to run out of possibilities here. As I've made more and more, it's just become easier and easier, to the point where if I see a clip, I can pretty much figure it out. It's just like when you spend a lot of time with someone, it doesn't become harder to come up with things to talk about. It just becomes easier.
Exactly.
I've kind of developed that relationship with, you know, making sounds at the drum set, right? Just it's become easier and easier. So now I've focused more on just something maybe that's in pop culture, something that people are maybe talking about that'll help give it kind of a boost that people will resonate with. You know, something like Wordle. Everyone's playing Wordle?
Yeah.
Let me try my hand at doing some Wordle. That was a really fun one, because the game itself does not have any sounds. Totally silent game. So I was like, I wonder what it would sound like if it did have sounds. And this is opening up a whole new door for me of like, okay, maybe we should add sounds to things that are silent. And this is how I've kind of been operating the whole time. It's not like, oh, what's my next idea? What's my next, like hitting my head against the wall, just to kind of keep going until something is like, oh, maybe I should go this way.
That's so good. I like that. It's not forced. It doesn't, and it won't come across as forced, you know, if it's not, if it's coming to you organically. The Wordle one is so good. And it made me think for a second. I was like, does it have sound? And I haven't had the sound on. That's exactly what I thought. I was just like, wait a minute, I haven't heard the sound before. I think I had my phone on silent or something. But then I was like, no, it doesn't. And this is like all what if, right? Which
it's all what if. It's all imaginary. I mean, the whole thing is imaginary. It's all just like on a screen. It's not. It's all just a big fever dream fantasy thing on social media.
Which is amazing. It's just amazing. And we should probably talk to, I'm going to throw out some numbers here because these numbers are super crazy.
Okay.
You have almost 800,000 followers on Instagram, and your posts, like one post has millions of likes. Like it's amazing to me. Thousands and thousands of comments. Like the engagement is incredible. And then on TikTok, you have 3.7 million followers and 75 million likes. And that's TikTok is at Josh Plays Drums. For anyone who has not checked it out. I am just incredibly amazed. I know this has happened in kind of a short-ish amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kind of like shocked by this, or
am I okay is the question you're asking? Are you all right?
That's the question. Are you okay?
Everything okay, Josh? I'm worried about you. Yeah, we're okay. It is, I would say that I would not wish that on anyone, actually. It is, on the one hand, can be very intoxicating, extremely fun, extremely exciting. Can also be highly pressurized. It can be nerve-wracking, anxiety-inducing, stressful. Oh my God. My last video did very well. My next video has to do as well, or else I'm finished. It's over. You know, a lot of that. A lot of, you know, it's just, you can get really in your head about it.
Right.
I mean, it's no joke. In like in January, I really was thinking about quitting. I was almost like 95% going to just stop.
Wow.
Because as I mentioned before, I'm not a social media guy, not like a creature of the internet, really. And I was just, it's impossible to upload something and then not check it.
Check it. Yeah.
I always try to, like, you know what, today I'm just going to upload that video and close the app. And then not look at it. It would be like if you're telling a joke on stage and you deliver a joke in front of an audience and then you hold your ears just so you don't know if they laugh or not.
Right.
I mean, you need that kind of feedback. It's like, oh, how's this being received? It's very tough. Maybe I'm not enlightened enough to just make something and be like, I made it and that's it. And I don't care what anybody thinks. You know, because it's also like, it's become my business, and like, you know, the views and the likes and the comments equals money.
Yeah.
You know, it's like how I'm going to sustain myself and move out of my parents' house. Okay.
Right.
And I was just like spending so much time on my phone. I was getting so wrapped up in like the numbers and just, it really was starting to weigh on me. I got like, another thing happened. I had this bit of an episode where I was making a video where I needed a squishing sound. And I was like, okay, I'll use it like a banana. And I was like squishing this banana on the snare drum. I was like squishing it, and I couldn't get it right. And I was doing like 20 takes, still didn't get it right. And I was like pushing like 30, 40, 50 takes on this video with a banana, like squishing this thing around. And then I like, in between like one of those takes, I just looked at myself and I was like covered in brown, like banana. It was like all over my drums. And I was like, whoa, I've lost the plot here. Like, this is not, something's wrong. So this is not, like when I was a kid, it's not what I dreamed of.
You imagined.
Like, this was not the fantasy to be covered in like mushy banana, like ruining my drum head, like just like about to do my like 55th take of like this video. Like, what is going on? Like this, I just felt like very, I don't know, I felt very alone in that moment. And then there was like a month and a half where I like physically could not bring myself to make a video. I could not get in front of the camera, couldn't even play the drums. Like I just like would get very anxious. Like just sitting at the drums, I couldn't even do it.
Right.
I had to completely step away. And I have a therapist now.
Good. That's great.
Worked it out.
Yes.
Recommend it to anyone. If you're a creator, if you spend a lot of time on the internet, you should have a therapist. Just point blank, I think it's a good idea. You don't need to see it all the time. Just check in on your mental health, or at least have a network of people that you can be checking in on each other, because it is very draining. It's not a natural thing to be like on your phone and so concerned about, oh, like it's also random, you know. A video could go viral for like no reason, or the reason that you don't expect, or a video that you love could bomb. You know, it's just like it's such a slot machine, and so you just have
really hard.
Yeah, I had to take a moment to sort of work on this.
Yes.
Before I could get back to working on this.
That's good. It's so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. And, you know, for anyone, like you just said, any creators out there, you're really living your life on the validation of strangers, you know, and that's really a hard thing. It's a hard thing to do. It is isolating. I think you can't just, you know, call your friend from college and be like, yeah, so I didn't get, you know, 7 million likes on this post.
Exactly.
Like, what? You know, so like, you know, where you're at and what you need, what you're getting from what you're doing is like, it is isolating, because it's hard for, I think, the majority of people to understand how you're feeling about that. And just like the toll that it takes, I think, to constantly be like checking a post, and again comparing it to other posts and to other creators and all of that. But I'm so glad that you know, you're feeling better about it. And I do like that you are, you know, you're doing things that that you want to do, that make you happy. You're not putting pressure on yourself. Like, so the banana video wasn't working out, so forget about the banana video, you know.
We lost that one. So yeah, and that is not meant to be like a woe is me type story. It's just a cautionary tale. Like, being an online creator seems very glamorous. Seems like, oh my God, they make a fortune. Holy moly, they get recognized on the street. Oh man, this is glitz and glamour. How cool. It can be. Yeah, there's that aspect of it, which is a lot of fun and very cool. And you're like, oh my God, I'm hot stuff. I've got all these followers. People love me. I'm on television. But it also, there are many occupational hazards, just like with, you know, a lot of jobs. It's a job at the end of the day. Like, you have to like make sure you have all the skills necessary to go into this line of work. And one of those skills is the mental strength, mental toughness. And I guess sort of like ability to like just handle it. It's important. So I guess a lot of people are always coming up to me like, oh, I want to get to where you are. I want to have like all these followers on social media. I'm like, well, just make sure that that is something that you do really want, and make sure that you want it for the right reason. Also, I think about this all the time. And so I have managers now, and they're always like, post some Instagram stories, like let people know what you're up to, you know, just give them a little slice of your life. And I don't do that. If you follow me on Instagram or TikTok or any of the pages, you notice that I post very infrequently, and I never post anything about my life or about, you know, my personal stuff or anything like that. I don't take photos of what I'm eating or what I'm doing or with my friends. Nothing. I don't do any of that. I almost never post Instagram stories like at all, which is to the detriment of the page, I will admit. But it's because I want my social media pages, my little corner of the internet, to be designed only to make people feel good when they come to it. I don't want anything on the page to make anyone feel at all bad about anything. And so I know that when I go on social media and I see like my friends hanging out with my other friends and I'm not there, like, I feel terrible, you know, like, or if I see even people who I don't know, they're posting pictures of like their lives, it's just, or, you know, they're working out so much and they're eating this like incredible food or whatever. Maybe it makes them feel good, and that's great, but it doesn't make me feel good. And I don't want to give that, then transmute that experience onto someone else.
Sure.
And so it's just like, I just make the content designed to like spread a bit of joy, and that's it. I really keep the personal stuff out of it. I keep anything that could make anyone feel like, ooh, why is my life not as cool as that? I don't do that. Just because social media can get like that. And I'm aware of that. And I take that very seriously, because if you're spending a lot of time on these apps, you know, it can alter your brain in a way that's not so good. If you're, you know, always seeing, oh my God, these people are like, they're at this crazy bar. Why? And I'm at home. Well, that's what's wrong with me, you know? It's really just, I make it just about the content. I make it just about the thing. You can come to it, get 30 seconds of a little silly joy in your life, and you move on. That's it.
Yes, exactly. I love that. I'm pretty much the same way. And I know the recommendation is to the opposite, to, you know, post on the stories and all the fun stuff that you're doing or whatever you're doing, like you said, the food or whatever. But I am also like that, where I don't know, it's just something that's like, I will send pictures to my friends or share like that if there's something that's mutually interesting, like that kind of thing. But otherwise, like, you know, the personal life thing, I think it's a hard thing to share if you're feeling that way, you know?
Yeah. One thing I am working on, well, before I say that, I'll just say, like, I don't know if it's as cool anymore either. I feel like as a society, very gradually, we're kind of all realizing that it's not that cool to like take a photo of everything you eat. One thing I'm working on is, I guess this is important for any like creator or artist, in addition to, at least today, in this sort of industry landscape, in the internet culture, it's important to not only make the art, but to also tell the story of that art, and so that people can connect to it. And to like tell the story of like your journey. Like you said at the top of this call, like, it's been so fun to watch you progress. This is something that I'm working on and getting better at. It's not coming naturally, so I'm like going to put in the work the same way like someone could be like, oh, like, being a stand-up comic, like just delivery, it comes naturally. You can't work on it. And I think, or like groove is something that comes naturally. You cannot work on it. Well, Benny Greb disproved that. You know, like, you can work on it. Same thing. Like, I think I'm working on now becoming a better storyteller. I'm working on, you know, kind of bringing people into the journey a little bit more without posting photos of everything I eat, but more just like bringing people more into the fold, telling my story, sort of explaining the thinking behind the videos and how I approach drumming, music, content creation. That's what I'm trying to do on the YouTube channel, which is the new venture.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, YouTube channel has been very exciting. I started a YouTube channel in 2013. This is way long ago. When I was in middle school, I wanted to be like iCarly. And so started this YouTube channel. All the videos have since like been, all the early ones have since been deleted.
Oh no,
like,
we can't be middle school, Josh.
No. But I had, you know, would upload videos periodically. And I think between 2013 and 2020, I gained 5 subscribers. And by contrast, between January 2022 and now, I've gained 1 million.
Wow.
It has grown so fast, so quickly. Once I've started I've started watering the plant a little more.
Yes.
It's been absolutely just stratospheric over there on YouTube. It's extremely exciting. But now I'm prepared for that. I know it's not, I'm like, I've done this before, and I'm not letting it get to me. And just sort of like, okay, now I have an opportunity now to do a bit more storytelling, maybe put out some longer videos that people will want to watch. It's just an exciting thing. I sort of like going to try to give myself the liberty to experiment more, try different things. The same way, like, you know, when I was first started, I just was trying a bunch of things and seeing what would stick. I want to do that again. And I think it's like, it's scary now because I've got this thing and people watch them and people know me, to be like, to put something out there and be like, oh, I don't know if this is good. I don't know if this is worthwhile, but that's what I'm going to try to do on the YouTube channel. If you're interested in that, come on over. And just see me, like, you know, experiment. That's what's going on over there. And there's already a million people watching.
That's amazing. That is amazing. I'm excited about that though, because I hear you talk about what you've done and the strategy behind it. And it's not like you went into this going, I'm going to get 1 million subscribers and this is how I'm going to do it because I have this like social strategy in my head. You were like, I want to make these videos for this particular reason. And you did it organically. Like you did it from what was inside of you, from your curiosity, and people gravitated toward it. And so I love that. Like that. So I think whatever you're coming up with, whatever you're working on is going to be interesting as well, because it's coming from a place of, you know, organic interest in what you're doing and wanting to share and wanting to put a smile on people's faces. So I think it's great.
Thank you. I also look forward to what it will be because I don't know. I oftentimes when I'm making the videos, sometimes during, sometimes right after, I'm like, I cannot believe that I am doing this. Because like you said, it wasn't like in 2021, I just was like, drum sound effects.
Right.
You know, it's like, it was a process that sort of like evolved kind of like on its own. Once you kind of get the ball rolling, it just becomes easier and easier to come up with new stuff. And now I'll watch back some of the old ones where they're like, the scenes are like, you know, they're long, like 30, 40 seconds worth of stuff, and all in one take. And then I'm like, oh my God, like, how did I even do that? And I like that feeling of just like the excitement being like, wow, this is like, I can't believe that I made this, I figured this out. Like I figured out the puzzle of how to like get this scene and choreograph this all on one take. And so that is what makes the videos like continuously exciting for me to do, because they're all like, there's a high degree of difficulty, but then there's a huge payoff.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you can see, I mean, when I watch your videos, I'm just amazed because like, it's so fluid. Everything that you're doing is so fluid, but it's also so accurate, you know? So yeah.
Another word would be rehearsed.
Yeah, that too, right? Yeah. Right. Preparation is important too, for sure.
The videos that take, actually it depends. Some of them come together in like 2 hours. Some of them come together in like 2 to 3 days. I really think about it almost less that I'm drumming and almost it's more of a choreography because once I figure out the sounds and whatever objects I'm going to use, then I choreograph it very meticulously and very purposefully so that no motion or sound or striking of anything is obscured. So if I'm crossing my hands over, oh, okay, well, I'm going to have to move this object over there. So that way I can stay open in an open position. And that way the camera can see everything.
Right.
But what am I going to do with my face here? I'm going to look a little bit inquisitive because I want the audience to also feel that way. I choreograph everything. And then the smile at the end, I try to just like, oh, I get it. I can smile now. It feels good.
It's a relief smile too, right?
But yeah, that is always to me the most fun and interesting part. Of just like, okay. I mean, and by the way, this is not how Foley is actually done at all. It's a stupid way of doing it. No one would ever do it like this. It's sort of like, I guess you could call it its own art form.
It is. It's
like it's just doing it all in one take.
Yes.
It's sort of its own thing. It's not quite Foley. So I call it drum comedy. It's just like a sort of like performance art that on the drum set.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that is always extremely fun, and it's really like doing a puzzle. Okay, I got to put the symbol on the right side, and I'm gonna have to maybe I got to hit it with my elbow so that way I can keep holding on to this like this chopstick over here so that I can hit the glass over here. Figuring out those movements every single time takes a long time to do, and then it's a matter of memorizing it. Memory is something that I'm extremely interested in as well, which is why the one take aspect appeals to me. When I was very young, I started taking drum lessons when I was 4. My first ever drum teacher, this guy named JJ, who used to ride up to our house on a motorcycle and then come into the basement, and my dear parents let this motorcycle man down with their 4-year-old. And he was like a hard rocker. And so when I was like 4, I was playing Metallica and like bashing.
Love it.
But JJ, my first drum teacher, did something which I'm like forever indebted to him, which is that every single lesson, and I think other drum teachers do this too, but I guess I took to it as a kid. We would do this so often. The repeat game. You familiar with this? But just like he would play something on the pad, and then I would have to play it back. But he just would make them more and more difficult every single time and lengthen them. To the point where he would be playing something very, very long, 30 seconds worth of material, and I would have to listen to it once and play it back.
Wow.
He just like trained my young, neuroplasticity 4-year-old brain to like be able to just hear something and have it. And thank you, JJ. I don't know where you are. I don't even know what your last name is. But he like gave me this ability to just remember stuff. He like trained my 4-year-old brain. It's like I feel very lucky that I have that ability where I can like same thing, like if I'm in rehearsal or something, I listen to it and I can just have it. Because of that, like when I was so young working with this guy JJ.
Yeah.
He was continuing to make the pieces that I would have to remember longer and longer and longer and longer until eventually it's just like I got it. And that is always fun for me and very satisfying, gratifying. It's like 40 seconds worth of like very complicated movements to just remember it all, or with the rhythm when I was doing rhythms of comedy and like drumming along to a minute-long routine. Just memorize it.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
that is super cool. Yeah, shout out to JJ wherever he is. Hopefully,
this is actually the next documentary that I'm going to make. This is something else like
Finding JJ.
Yes, because JJ. I only know that his name is JJ. The music store where we found him closed in my town. No one. All I have is a drumstick that he gave me, which has his initials like etched into it, just as like JJ. No one in my family knows what his last name is.
Oh my gosh!
We cannot find him. We don't know where he is or where he what happened to him.
Wow!
There's no record of him on the internet. If you go like JJ drums, JJ. I'm from the town like Short Hills, New Jersey. Like nothing. I cannot find this man.
Wow.
I want to make a documentary finding him, like finding this guy. This guy taught me how to play the drums the way I'm now making my living. He's like given me everything. And I just want to say thank you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. If we have to, I mean, you have the followers to like get it to go.
So I haven't told that idea to anyone, so I've announced it here on the podcast. If anyone knows this guy JJ, he plays the drums. He like rides a motorcycle, has a leather jacket, shaved head, and I think red beard. I don't know. That's how I remember him from like 20 years ago. So I hope he's still alive. I mean, man, that would be sad.
Oh my goodness. It would be amazing if we were like walking down the street and all of a sudden like ran into JJ.
Yeah. He was a great teacher. I mean, he was a super strange individual. But like really gave me those fundamentals. And I think if you're a kid, having like I've had so many great teachers in my life, and like the work that I did with those teachers informs everything I do at the drum set now. Like having a good teacher is so important.
It really is.
Yeah.
Great teachers can really change your life. That's amazing though. We have to find JJ though.
Finding JJ.
That's the title.
Yeah.
That is incredible though. I love it. And are you like when you are out and about, are people recognizing you from the videos? Like are people like, hey?
It happens. It does happen. It's all been very positive. No one's been like, oh my god, it's the freaking sound effects man, get him. I hate those videos for coming up in my feed, it ruins my day. No one's like that.
No,
it's mostly like if they don't know my name, sometimes I meet a super fan and they're like, oh my god, it's Josh Harmon, can I get a photo? And that's it's fun. A lot of times it's like you do that drum thing, you do the ratatouille thing. I was in South Africa on a vacation with my family because my brother used to live there.
Wow.
And we were in like a remote part of South Africa. talking to these like Shangan tribes people.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was like, are you the guy from that Ratatouille video? Like, I was in the middle of true nowhere. Like, I didn't even have like, Wi-Fi access cell service. And this person recognized me from the TikTok.
That's crazy. And
I
how
mean, yeah.
cool.
Also, a lot of times, when I've gone out, at least, well, now it's more likely to happen because I won't be wearing a mask as often. One time I did get recognized. I was in a mask and someone got me just from the eyes up. And I'm like, man, you're a real fan.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's cool. But that's not, it's not really what it's about. If someone enjoys what I do and they want to say hello, it's awesome. I get a lot of nice energy from that.
Yeah.
But I did not set out being like, I want to be famous. I want to be recognized. It's just, it's never been my goal.
Sure.
And I think it remains not my goal.
Right. I understand. I know. And like you said about being, people wanting to go viral, like that kind of thing. I think the same thing with like fame and recognition. There's like, it would be so cool to be famous, that there's a thing about that. But then
I would say just try it out. Get on TikTok. Yeah. But I'm not. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, but it's definitely something that it's not easy. It's not easy to not be able to. And I say like drummers are the luckiest because most drummers, like, you get on stage, you play the gig, and you have so much fun, and you could still go like to the supermarket and not be harassed by people most of the time, But it's not an easy thing to have your life on display. So when fame and that kind of thing comes up, it's kind of like, well, I'm not sure it's what people think it is.
Yeah. And also, again, it's not a woe is me story. It's just, it's just like an interesting phenomenon of like humankind, I guess. It's like we kind of like having these like celebrities as like, I don't know, ideals. Like,
right.
Sort of like, I don't know. I think it's also like a very American thing. To be like so obsessed with personalities. So one thing I find incredibly interesting talking to people, when I talk to an American, the first thing about my videos, when I talk to an American about my videos, the first thing they ask me, without fail, pretty much, is like, are you monetized? How are you making money from this? Like, how much money are you making? And when I talk to someone from pretty much any other country, they are like, how do you come up with your ideas? That's they're like, tell me about the process. How do you make these? How long does it take?
Right.
Whereas like, when I talk to someone from here, there's like, oh my God, so like, are you getting ad revenue? How much are you making from the Creator Fund? There's like, I don't know, a bit of a priority, emphasis on the wrong syllable, as my dad always says.
Right. Yes. So different mindset.
I don't know. I'm also not like, I think I'm a good level of famous where if there's someone who like really likes what I do, that's cool, but it's, I have a friend who's really big on social media, and someone, like, he was just having dinner with his friends at a restaurant. Someone started filming him, like, we didn't know, just a stranger, because they recognized him. And he quit making videos because it freaked him out so much.
Oh, wow.
I mean, so that stuff does happen. But I feel like my only goal is not to like become more like renowned or like get recognized more. My only goal is just like make better content, continue to like iterate, continue to grow as an artist. And anything else that happens is sort of like, icing on the cake. Or sometimes even like, not such a great side effect.
Yeah.
But really, it's really what I'm trying to do. Like, I used to have this goal. This was like before the pandemic, and when I was in high school, it was like, I am gonna get like a stand-up special. I'm gonna have my own TV show. I'm gonna be like a big movie star. These are the things I really wanted for myself. And now my goals have kind of shifted, where I still would love those things, but it's less about like me being like that, and more just, I just want to have like a good, interesting, fun day as often as possible. That's sort of my only goal now. And it just happens that I find making art, playing the drums to be extremely fun and extremely interesting. So I just like, I'm pursuing that. And that's really my only goal right now. And I'm just going to see where it leads to. So I don't have anything super concrete, just to continue having fun. It's really the only thing I want to do.
I love it. I love it. I think that's a great goal to have in life, right? Feel fulfilled, have a fun day, be happy. I know happiness is relative. We say be happy, but you know, something that like fulfills you inside. That's what you're doing. That's what you're spending your time doing. And like, what's better than that? So I'm so glad that you did not. I mean, you said you were like 95% ready, right?
I was like,
let it all go.
The other thing about social media, you know, which is different from, say, if you had a sitcom or something like that, there's no hiatus, no season breaks, constant content, and make a video, upload it, and then as soon as that video is uploaded, I got to make another video. Oh my God.
The pressure.
There's a lot of pressure, especially, you know, once it becomes not just a thing you're doing for fun, but a thing that you're doing also to support yourself, to make money, to like, you know, you're kind of like, you can get in your head about like my reputation, the way people perceive me. Once that all gets wrapped up in it, it becomes a very pressurized situation. Even though it's not really, it seems like it.
Right. It feels
it's really not. It's fine. A video, it's taken me like 2 years to get to the point where I'm like, video bombs, I don't care. It's okay. It's really okay.
Yeah. It's gonna be okay.
Everything's fine. Everything's fine. It's really not a big deal. But for a long time, I was like, oh, this is a big deal. This is my life. If people don't watch the videos anymore, then I'm nothing. It's all in a waste. But that's not true.
I know. And I feel like it's a common theme with musicians as well, making albums, you know, the pressure to have the next album be just as well received as the last one, to sell as much, and, you know, to be downloaded as often, and all of that. I think it's the pressure is there. It's real. And but I'm so glad that you didn't quit, that you're continuing to make the videos, and that you're gonna do some like new things too, and, you know, post some different content. I can't wait to see that stuff. I also can't wait till you start, you know, playing along with your documentary too, because it sounds super cool. And, you know, I'll link all of the accounts in the bio here and in the podcast description and everything. And, you know, I'm just so excited to see everything that you've done over the past, you know, well, it's probably been about 1.5 years since we've been in touch, but the past couple of years that you've been creating content, it's so great.
Well, thank you very much. I'm really glad that it could bring you some joy, the same way it brings me some joy. That's really what it's all about. And yeah, just about kind of continuing to go deeper and deeper into this like really fascinating instrument. It's endlessly interesting to me. The drums, the drum set. You know, what is it? People are always, if I can talk for a little bit more.
Yeah, please.
I get a lot of comments from drummers, you know, and I'm saying like drummers, who always, they're like, this isn't drumming. Play the drums, you clown.
Oh no!
People write that. And my argument back would be, it is drumming. Or I guess I wouldn't even make an argument. I would just ask a question. I'd be like, well, what is drumming?
Right.
You know? And I would argue that drumming is just using an instrument or any sort of tool really to just communicate something. Like the drum is just an instrument of communication. And so that's really what I'm trying to do. And to push that as much as possible. Like, how much can I communicate using this very strange instrument? I don't have to play a beat the way people think of it. I don't have to even play the drum. I can like sort of just involve it. And it's still drumming because I'm saying something with it. And that to me is like that's the artistic concept that I'm really, really interested in. It's like, you know, I always used to be jealous of piano players who could just like get up and do a solo performance, and the audience would weep. You know, they have like harmony. They have access to all this stuff that can really unlock emotions in the listener. As a drummer, I'd be like, oh, I'm just bashing, you know. But the challenge that I've set for myself is like, okay, what can I really say using this instrument? This is the instrument that I play. I can't change that. I mean, I could learn another instrument, but this is the instrument that I love, and I can't change that. So the challenge I've set for myself is, how much can I say? What can I communicate with this thing?
Right.
That's what I'm trying to do.
I love
what drumming is all about.
That is what drumming is all about. It always has been, right? Drums have always been the instrument that was used to communicate.
Yeah.
And it still is. And I think when you think about drums in that way, it opens up a whole other category of playing and of playing with other musicians and the communication back and forth. I love that, though. That's so great. So yeah, keep exploring that. Keep sharing with all of us, because we want to see it. And I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you, Sarah. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Yeah, excited for this to drop.
Yes, next chapter, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you, Josh. Take care, and hopefully I will see you in person at some point soon.
Definitely.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in today. Join us each Tuesday for new episodes of Sarah Hagan Backstage.